Brent Constance. I'm the managing member of DeepWater Desal. We're a LLC formed up in Moss Landing a couple of years ago. Our partners consist of myself, Jane Ricci, who was instrumental in building the cholera plant on the old National Refractory site. And we have history in Moss Landing back to 2008. David Armanasco, who's a former California Coastal Commissioner and has been involved in the water issues here for a number of years. Dennis Ng, who was the administrative head of building the carbon sequestration plant on the National Refractory site from 2008 through 2010, and built about a $45 million plant there, which is still operating there today. We have Jim Heisinger. Jim's, among other things, the city attorney for Sand City, which is one of the only municipally owned and operated and permitted desal plants in the state. Ambassador John Bond, who is the Public Utilities Commissioner who weighed in on the failed Cal-Am project and wrote the opinion on it, is extremely familiar with the whole water situation in this area. Scott Jackson, who built the desal plant down at Diablo Canyon before the Coastal Act, and the Gaviota plant, and 38 major plants around the world. John Dietrich, who's a professional engineer with consulting experience on plants all over the world, including Tampa Bay and everywhere. We feel we've established a team. We don't have to send an RFQ out. We've established a team capable of implementing the project. Our relationship with Dynegy, where all our easements and our contracts lie, it goes back to 2008 when I built a flue gas line from the two 500 megawatt cogen plants in the back over to the National Refractory site. I'm well experienced with the easements and piping up in Moss Landing. The state lands control, the Coastal Commission, all the regulatory issues. We put the largest industrial operation on Monterey Bay since World War II there between 2008 and 2010. The whole hypothesis that DeepWater Desal is based on has to do with the once-through cooling issue that Dynegy was facing in 2008. When I formed the relationships and alliance there, that plant's been ordered to go on to air cooling, which will increase its carbon intensity about 20%, and it'll probably cause it to go out of business and cause brownouts in this area. So a major issue was to figure out a way to safely use deep water. And that's where the deepest submarine canyon in the world is. It's right off Mbari. The first thing I did is I went to Mbari. I consulted with the scientists, with the key consultant of the Coastal Commission about whether it was viable to avoid the, quote, open water intake issue by going to deep water below the photic zone. And every scientist I talked to said, well, of course, if we go below the photic zone, we're not going to have entrainment and impingement of fish larvae. They directed me to the best firm in the state, Tenera, who conducts these studies for all the power plants, all the open water intakes, looks at larval entrainment, entrapment, proportional mortality. We consulted with the Coastal Commission, who I'd been working with on the cholera plant for years and had regular relationships with. The Coastal Commission confirmed what data were necessary. There were many meetings with the Coastal Commission. The idea that you want to do a slant well first is from a 2004 report. It's old information. The current understanding is the most advanced intake is a deep water intake. You can go to the Mediterranean where they've abandoned wells, gone to deep water intakes. You can go all over the world. There are no operating slant wells. That's old. That's an old idea. It's a decade old. Our data collection started in 2010. It's from the Mbari subunit that's run by NOAA, the Central and Northern California Ocean Observation System. We have a full current model of Monterey Bay that the Marine Sanctuary said is the best model of the currents in Monterey Bay. We have 2 ADCPs deployed off there. They collect data, salinity, temperature, turbidity, current every 30 seconds, and it's recorded. We know the offshore area there. We know what the intakes are. We do biological sampling 4 times a month during the spawning season of the fish. The hypothesis that we can avoid the environmental impacts of open water intakes, meaning shallow open water intakes by going to deep water, is the basis of the whole company, why we're doing it. The entitlements that we're getting are based on that whole idea. The ability to have also tied in low-cost power, which no other project is going to be able to do because of our co-located data center there. Without the kind of power draw that a data center draws, you're not going to be able to form a municipal utility and cut the price of power in half. No one else is going to be able to do that. So our project exclusively has the lowest price power. Also, because of the easements and existing infrastructure we have from Dynegy, the overall capital costs of our project is the lowest. We have an existing outfall. It's putting out 1 billion gallons of water a day today. You know, we have an existing oil pipeline. Our intake's there, our easement's there. So as the SPI report showed, our water is the lowest priced water. The regulatory risk of an open water intake is the whole basis of the company. That's how we've addressed it. That's why we've been working with the Coastal Commission. That's why we've been working with the State Water Board, you know, the State Lands Commission to get all this done. The State Lands Commission has directed their staff to go ahead and hire an EIS consultant to move forward on the project. So we've also signed 2 MOUs now with Salinas City Council. The first one was simply for the formation of the municipal utility to provide power to the complex at Moss Landing, which includes data centers, which bring in the power at the low cost. The second one was joined by the California Water Service, which is the regulated utility that serves most of Salinas. Salinas has about 4 times the number of people as the Monterey Peninsula and has serious water problems. So this regional plant, because of its scale, is really the only possibility for the Monterey Peninsula to receive low-priced water. The current application before the CPUC will have water twice as expensive. And that's aside from the risks, all the technical risks that are faced with that project. And most importantly, this is going to be the lowest energy, the lowest greenhouse gas water. And now with AB 32, no desal plants are exempt from greenhouse gas calculations. And those haven't even been considered in any of the SPI reports or these other reports. They're going to be in the EIR. The president just ruled that greenhouse gases will be part of NEPA. So if you're not looking at greenhouse gases and you have to do an ERS, you've got a big problem out there. This is going to be the greenest data center, the greenest desal plant in the world at this location because the data center warms with water. The desal plant is desalinating warmed water, which has a much lower carbon footprint. The data center is also going to be taking the cold water in and have the lowest carbon footprint of any data center. And that's what's bringing jobs. We're bringing a free trade zone up to Moss Landing. We're bringing an enterprise zone up in Moss Landing. There's going to be 100 engineer jobs just associated with one of the data center installations going up there. So this project will allow the Monterey Peninsula to have the option to purchase 6,400 acre-feet of water or whatever is decided from a much larger project, which is going anyway. And this is an opportunity for the Monterey Peninsula to have that option. And importantly, it's the lowest cost water that's going to be delivered far ahead of any other project because there's other proponents pushing. There's dark fiber being brought into Moss Landing to support the data connectivity. So that's our project. We're all committed to it. And we think we've established the team that can get it done. And I think that's probably our major asset is whatever this team does because of our experience and our intent in the area and the entitlement, the relationships and the easements and the site control we have. we're all confident, and we look forward to providing water to the Monterey Peninsula.
Thank you, Mr. Con.